So my name is Chris Coeck. I'm indeed the mobility manager of strategy of the Port of Antwerp. So, and I believe I'm a bit the stranger in our midst at this time. And so most of the time it was going on about people transport, but there's more than people transport. There's also transport of goods. And of course we are in Antwerp, so we also have the Port of Antwerp. So what I've tried to do today is just to give you an insight on what the Antwerp port wants to be when you think about mobility. Because it's not only people, it's not only goods, it's a combination of goods and people. So Antwerp wants to be, and is still at the moment, an accessible port. So what we try to do is, with the Antwerp Port Authority, to play a very active role in mobility, to search for solutions together with the companies, to try to involve all different port players. All different port players who wants to have a part of the solution. This solution can be infrastructural, the solution can be technical, can be different parts of solution. But anyhow, we're always working on different levers for behavioral change. And that's what we try to do, try to move differently. Port of Antwerp, therefore, is involved in steering of the flows of goods and people to and from and inside the port area. So we try to aim to create also a sustainable situation. When I say that we want to work on the different levers for sustainable mobility, you can see them here. It's not rocket science. It's peak shaving, trying to have a different model shift, and trying to avoid trips. And by informing people on these things, trying to steer the different mobility situations. Antwerp Port Mobility. This is what we call an umbrella project. Different projects are underneath it. Those actually are infrastructural projects, but also soft projects and data projects. What we try to do in the first hand is try to have a soft steering of mobility by giving all information to the road user. By introducing, for example, by the end of this year we will have a dynamic trucking map where all information for the trucker is available. Information on points of interest, information on travel times, information on the different sites that he wants to visit with waiting times, etc. So this will all be available. Making those kinds of information available will allow the trucker or the road user to be fully informed and to make the right decisions. That's the first step, and maybe the next step. What we try to do then is to more hard steering and say, okay, you're a trucker, you need to go to gate 915. This is the way you need to follow with the least waiting times. So this is what we try to do with all kinds of data, with all kinds of floating car data, etc. Combining all these data and trying to inform the trucker. So what is available already? You see, this is, you could say, the Antwerp Port platform. Antwerp Port platform, where of course there is a nautical chain with a number of locks, which are basically very important because they also influence the way in which the road transport, for example, works. A number of counting points in the higher road network. And of course information on weather, information from TomTom, from Satelic, so the tolling institute, from floating car data, from the Flemish community, all different kinds of data. And basically what we also seeing is that we, at the borders of the port platform, we have an ALPR. So we are checking license plates. This is a network that will be introduced in 2017, so we know what kind of trucks and cars will enter our port area. And also we see that a number of other initiatives will come into play that allow to identify individual vehicles. And if you know what individual vehicles there are, you can also communicate with those individual vehicles. And that's what we try to do, try to convince those individual vehicles and introduce also floating car data in order to make sure that The private providers of these informations will also influence the behavior of these different road users. And this is, for example, also where self-driving cars can come into play. If we have all this information, you could say, okay, maybe we should have a place where all containers come to, and then have a self-driving shuttle, for example, to the gates. Those are things that we are also looking into at this moment. What are the opportunities in order to make such kinds of shuttles or self-driving initiatives? So, and basically what we try to do is not only link the flow of people, but also link the flow of goods, link the vehicles, additional application to be built, reduction of empty driving, slot planning, delivery on demand, etc. So this is what we're doing right now. But we had also a brainstorm, let's say, on the Vision 2020-2030, and what we're trying to do there is it's just a little movie. It's without any sound. I will perform the sound, but basically it's what we try to do, because over the port hub we have three different flows. We have transport means, goods, and of course the information that accompanies those two things. At this moment, it's estimated that 50 billion smart devices exist already worldwide. And increasingly, also in our ports, smart things will be moving over smart infrastructures. Intelligent sensors in pallets, containers, railway wagons, will communicate with smart cranes, bridges, lighting poles, etc. And we see that, for example, sensors in the quay wall allow the ship to safely dock without accompanying services. The crew then is Skyping with the home front and the lighting pole is used as a relay station. Pallets are updating their status, loaded and unloaded. External data is being used to terminals, and for example, a truck receives signals from the terminals, the weather station and its navigational provider already 100 kilometers from the port area. And as a result, its board computer adjusts the speed of the truck to deliver the goods on time. These are things that maybe are in the future possible. We have road transport. We have, of course, a severity of congestion, but the congestion is not always related to the port area. There's lots of continuous traffic that without an origin or a destination inside the port area. And you see, it's the red ones. You see that this kind of continuous traffic, is basically what's the problem for the Port of Antwerp. So making sure that only the traffic that needs to be here comes to Antwerp will enlighten, of course, this problem. And you see here, if you're driving on the Antwerp Ring Road, how many percent of all trucks that are driving there are going to the port area? Anyone? 4.6%. Yeah, so it's, normally you should say it's much more, but it's only 4.6% of trucks that are driving there are going to the port area. So there are other problems. But anyhow, we want to be a part of the solution. And this is our vision, the connected port by 2030. I will not read it, but it says, okay, we will try to combine lots of information, try to make sure that there is a pattern recognition on actual and historical data, making sure we have a dynamic traffic management, and making sure that waiting times are reduced by combining all these data and delivering it also to the road users. Of course, we have a number of KPIs also, which can be used. It's not maybe for today, it was for the design competition also, but I included this, so that was a possibility. Also commuting traffic, that's not only goods, it's also people that are working in the port that are important. Again, we see people are very important. 81% of all people driving on the Antwerp Ring Road are people, not only coming to and from the port, but people traffic is very important. For the port, there's still lots of opportunities. For the moment, 75% of employees are coming to work by car. So that's something to work on. We have, of course, a number of initiatives for frequent bikers. And we see that the number of frequent bikers really accelerated the last years. We have also a carpool platform. A carpool platform not only for one company, but what we did is making a carpool platform for the entire port area. So it means that actually the 500 companies that are working here can join the carpool platform, and they can share cars, maybe with the neighboring company, not only the company itself, but also the neighboring company. So that's also an initiative. And then there are initiatives like collective transport. Collective transport, from September on, we're trying to also make sure that people are going by specific buses to work. What is the ambition? The ambition is the flexible ports. Coming to work if you have to come to work. Otherwise, you can also work at home or flexible hours. Using a bike, using a water bus, using specific a network of collective transport or carpooling. If you have to go to your work, do it on a sustainable way. This is what we try to do. So these are all elements that we are working on at this moment, where data and technique is also coming into play, where self-driving or Podcars can also come into play. Not at this moment already. I'm still hoping that one of the pilot projects is also coming to the Port of Antwerp. So if there is a pilot project which is feasible, then I believe we're open for such kind of projects. So and this is where my intervention maybe ends. So we're working very hard on mobility. We have a long-term vision on where different measures are included. And we are aiming of also creating a sustainable situation in the future, and hoping that there are a number of pilot projects or design features that can come to the Port of Antwerp. Thank you very much.